You are watching Omnis Protocol. I am Charles, also known as Omnis, and joining me as a guest for this commentary, I have Christopher, aka Pure LVO Champion. What's going on, my dude?
Not a whole lot. Just still melting after everything. So
Nice, nice. Well, you get to do some commentary. This is again a Star Wars Shatterpoint Battle Report coming from LVO. This is the first one from Top Cut, and I thought it would be great to bring on Chris for this particular episode, as he got a chance to play against both of these players over the course of the event. So that's very exciting. We got Ryan, who is from My Meta, and he's playing Boss and Obi. So the Delta Box plus Obi with Rex and the Commandos. And then playing against, I believe Evan is your meta. Is that correct?
yeah, much closer to what I have.
Yes.
Yeah. Some slight differences with the Rebels layout, but yes, very. I mean,
yeah,
same idea.
But he's got Cassian and Kanan, two very powerful primaries, but like not very Spectre, right? It's got Bodhi and Bazin Chirrut under Kanan, and then has K2SO and Rebel Commandos. So first thought, looking down at these lists, you had to play against both of these players. What are your thoughts about the matchup in these specific lists?
When I played against Ryan and saw his list, I was like, man, that list is really cool. And that's kind of what I wanted to play. Almost kind of what, yeah. So I saw that and I'm like, that's really great. And then when I played against Evan, I was like, that is not what I want to play against.
Yeah.
So they're both very good lists, honestly. And I think that they pair very interestingly into each other.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is just yesterday at the game store before recording this video, I was helping someone practice for a GT, and they played Boss Obi into me, and I played Cassian Leia, just to kind of like help them prepare, even though it's not my preferred. But I felt like this matchup is extremely close to 50-50, like almost astonishingly close, where it's just like really subtle die rolls or like very subtle terrain placement could determine the game because the matchup is that close, which wasn't my first instinct. But do you agree with me there? Do you think this is really close to a 50-50, or do you feel like one side is advantaged?
I kind of feel like the Obi side, the Obi boss side, is a little bit advantaged, but it's very close to an even match, right? And it's going to just come down to how the players pilot their lists. I recall talking with Spitfire a while back about that and how this was my plan into like a Cassian thing. And he said, well, it's not just a counter list. It's not just going to win you the game. You still have to pilot it.
Yes. Yeah, it can be very easy that like one key mistake or one key order deck chaos, could determine the game. So I'm really excited to see how these guys play it out. Both, very practiced players. So I'm really excited to see what we get out of this game. So I think it's time we just go ahead and get into this. So going to go ahead and start the video now. Looking at this, this is really one of the first games from the event where I had one of the 3D print tables. Do you have thoughts of playing on I believe people call this the throne room terrain?
The generator room is what we call it locally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, First Contact. Do you think First Contact shakes up this matchup at all?
I don't know what that's going to do to this game. So, like, I have a lot of experience on it, but I'm not here.
Yeah. That does mean that Ryan won priority because that was his mission, and he likes to shake things up. And he gets to open with Boss. What are your thoughts there? Is Boss kind of a perfect opening for this, or would you prefer something else?
Whenever I play this list, I want Boss. So I think this is great.
Yeah, that was definitely my instinct, seeing that. Having a Boss opener is a big deal. They reveal the X shape, which is interesting because that was just what I played, not on First Contact, but on Never Tell Me the Odds, how the X shape affects this matchup and how much you can pile into the middle, but neither of them have repulse. So let's see. I'm not sure. I think he's just kind of contemplating the exact move here. what would you be doing here, Pure? Would you be trying to go after a back point, or do you think it's pile on as much as possible to the middle?
I think I'd probably get my stuff up the map as fast as possible just because it's going to be the X, so you really want to pile a bunch of guys there. I don't know based off of the ladder layout. That's probably why he's like, how do I make this work?
Yes, I did set up this table, and there are multiple double length ladders, but I don't think there's a double length ladder where he could just like, send all of those commandos. Oh, he ends up reserving boss. We both agree that boss feels optimal, but maybe because of the ladder placement, he wants to save it. Interesting.
Yeah, and boss sometimes can struggle to like really get the kill. Like it feels more like a coin flip for him getting the kill than actually. A lot of times you feel almost guaranteed that he's going to get what you want, but if he has to run up the map alone, it's a lot less of a guarantee. So maybe he was like, "Well, I'm going to hold on to this."
Yeah, maybe you want him to kind of be able to flip the middle, but I think Commandos is still a really great pull here, where he's going to be able to get up and affect some points. There's definitely a part of me that would have liked to see both commandos just go get on the middle and try to create some really early pressure there. What would you be doing with the commandos?
I could see going for the double like middle play and just say, all right, you got to kill him to take this objective from me. Because you don't score on turn one anyway, so him staying back and claiming this like a back objective matters a lot less.
Yeah. Well, and you have boss in reserve, right? So you have the potential to like dash fixer or something, right? And then use your, spend 2 force, send fixer another dash. So you know that fixer could be back there if you need him to. But
adding to that, yeah, like the clone commandos have scales, so if one gets knocked down, fixer can dash them back up.
Yep, that too. Yep. All right. All right. It looks like he ended up moving a commando too far, and so he didn't even take that back point or take control of it. But you can hear him in the audio being like, that was definitely a mistake.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure he had like the cover from the terrain. I did that in one of my finals games. It was like I was on the objective. It was the opposite of this. I was on the objective, but not quite close enough to the terrain to get the cover. And I was like, oops.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a tough spot because then you kind of you don't get either thing that you wanted, right? Or yeah, I think I'm still in the camp of I would have ignored that point for the moment since you have so many good ways to take it. You have Obi being able to bounce into reserve. You have Rex being able to just like move Obi onto the point or something. I would have really liked both commandos on the middle. But we are past that now. Yeah. So it looks like Rebel Commandos. This is one where I'm interested to see what he's going to do, but with the positioning of that Rebel Commando and not being on the point, I would almost certainly want to try to take a back point if I can. But I don't see many people do that. I think if the X scares me, right, where I don't want to like have too much going on in the middle, and so I want to put some pressure on a back point if I can. What are your thoughts? You double up, try to take down the commandos, take down the middle, or do you go for a back point? Or do you have something else, the purest plan?
If you could get the back point, that'd be great. I just don't know if he can because of Obi. Like, this is kind of an Obi conundrum, which is why he's like, how do I make this play work? If I come back here, in order to get the back point, I need to get 4 boxes down my tree for reposition with the Rebel Commandos. The Rebel Commandos will have like 2 or 3 extra dice because of the hunker tokens, and then they can shed them and dash. So you can't really attack them and then claim his objective.
That's true. Yeah, always, you got to think about them being able to move, but man, I feel like there's a world where he could have walked, hit a ladder, and then defensive maneuvered forward. And then Rex is kind of hidden, but I bet the back one could have shot at Rex. But looks like they're just going into that Rebel Commando. lot of defense dice with the cover and hunker token.
They're so good, man.
Double hunker token. Yeah, Commandos have really come back in a big way. I think if a player is watching this and they haven't played the Rebel Commandos or played the Republic Commandos in a while. So was that just one down? So just pin? That's a great start for Ryan.
Yeah. Another 5 blocks from Evan.
Yep.
I'm sorry, from Ryan.
Yep. All right, so it looks like just 2 crits go through, so that with the pin reapplying damage, it's 3 damage reduced to 2, and then a shove that can't move the commando but can move the... Well, God, commando versus commando is going to be complicated. The Republic commando doesn't get shoved, but the Rebel commando can do the follow-up. But he's going ahead and removing the hunkers now to move that one back and claim that point, which I like that play a lot. Do you think that was a good time to drop the hunker tokens?
I think that was a great time. I don't want chip damage on these units. They only have 7 hit points. Yes, they do have protection and great defense, but yeah, I think you just keep them at full, and it's a great time to say, hey, you know what? I didn't claim this objective earlier. Obi lets me heal anyone in that unit, and the character that healed may dash, so I can get this guy across the map to get to that objective is really cool.
Yeah, and having Republic Commandos, basically at full, right, is like fantastic. Like taking shots from 8 dice Rebel Commandos and then being able to heal to full essentially is really fantastic. And Rebel Commandos are a juicy target for boss, right? I feel like...
And there's the boss draw.
Yep, and boss is coming.
Yeah, I think Ryan agrees. He's like, "Oh, your Rebel Commandos are right up there. Cool. Yes. Let's go."
Yeah, it's time. So one thing I would have liked to see from Ryan right here is be thinking about that movement and whether or not you're getting range 5 on the Rebel Commandos. I think he probably is, but since you can check the dash and the range 5 at the same time, that's something I would have liked to see there, because you're just going to be real sad if you're like missing out on a fixer die for no reason. Oh no, he split up the 7 Scorch. Oh, then they're totally perfect. He doesn't have to worry about that far one being within range 5. So,
yeah, you just want to secure these back objectives and then go pressure the front. This is going to be a really powerful play, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be a big roll from boss. Very reasonable chance to take him down. And yeah, and even if he has to use, I forget what his explosives are called. I just call them all explosives. Even Wookiees, ripping your arm off is explosives. But worst case scenario, if he gets them down low enough, he can definitely just explosives. He's fine backing the Republic Commando off, giving them hunker again. And if he kills them and boss gets on the middle, I think he's okay with that as well.
It's called Delta Give Me an Explosive Solution. It's very long.
All right. Well, it says explosive in it, so we're going to call that.
Yeah, it does.
All right. So he's electing to not deal himself damage. What are your thoughts on that play? Do you think this is a situation where you would have liked to make sure you get that additional die so you can turn the dash into a full advance and turn it into a reposition?
I don't think there's a correct play with that. I think that's very much so a player style thing.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of red sometimes, so I'd say, take 6 damage, let's go, get up the map, and what do you want to stop me, right? But he's saying I don't want to.
Well, and he's playing Obi, right? So it's obviously there's a little bit of a defensive mentality in this at the very least.
100%.
So it looks like Evan ended up with 2 blocks and a expertise. Or no, one of the blocks is from the expertise. So not a great defensive roll for Evan. But looks like he's going to go 4 down. Or maybe he already removed dice. So 7 damage. believe he said 2 shoves. Ooh, the light on the
Correct.
camera is perfectly blocking whatever else was added onto that card.
He should just have 7 damage.
Okay. It might have been just Evan setting something off screen. All right, so here they're just getting down the angle because he wants to do the follow-up. So here they're just resolving shoves. So it looks like he's not going to go for a kill. Oh, he is going to boss bomb the point because one's still on there.
If he kills him with the boss bomb, he doesn't trigger the Kanan revenge trigger or the K2SO revenge trigger.
Yep. He does get the Cassian trigger, but I think this is a perfectly reasonable time to just kind of let that happen. So he does move the Republic Commando off the point, giving him a hunker. That's always nice. Man, getting to use that ability for 0, right? And getting to refresh 2 force. That's like boss highlights, right? That makes you
A lot
feel
of people
good.
are scared of piloting this list because it has 5 force, but if you pilot it like Ryan is piloting it here, that's how you make it work.
Yeah. I think as much as I'm a player who doesn't love 5 force lists, I think because it's so easy for Fixer and 7 Scorch to run at 0 force, and 7 Scorch being a fantastic Shatterpoint as well, I just don't think it feels like a 5 force list in the way that others can. And it's the same thing for the Cassian list, right? Kanan can run at 0 force, Baze and Chirrut are sort of force neutral. And so they're 5 force lists, but they don't feel like 5 force. Do you agree with that?
Completely agree. Yeah.
All right, so here we've got a Cassian revenge trigger that looks to me like he moved up Kanan.
Yeah, it looks like Kanan.
All right, here we're resolving the move action for boss, or Uzo.
There's no dash on the side of the tree that he took. So yeah, this would just be a movement action.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems to be thinking about another move, but oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, he wanted to stay within range 3 of Fixer for the
Gotcha.
movement action to get that extra hunker token.
Yeah, and that's obviously a big deal with Obi. So it looks like he's on the point, but not on the top level. All right, so it looks like it ended on 0. They both gained a momentum, and it's time for K2SO.
My biggest nightmare.
Why? What makes him your biggest nightmare?
Just the lockdown, I think, is really intimidating to deal with because you're like, oh, I really have to like actually remove him or kill him, and you got to be very careful about how you choose to do that.
Yeah, I was playing a game against him just before LVO, and it was never tell me the odds with the side objective, and I realized that I couldn't actually repulse him off the objective because he was leaning towards the side of the map that was the edge of the map, and I'm like, oh, I can't get him off this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if I shove him down the elevation, Sin is still going to retain control of the point. Oh man, I misplayed this completely.
Before LVO, the last time I played against him was that exact scenario, but versus Accuser. So, yeah.
Oh, Accuser. I miss that boy. But let's see I think obviously K2SO wants to try to get to that middle objective. The fact that Kanan moved forward makes his dash ability better. All right. So it does look like there's a full length ladder there. I think he probably has the ability to go up it. The commando's in kind of an awkward spot where I could see him not quite being able to stand within range 1 of the ladder. But he could also. The problem here is if K2SO takes a shot, then someone could drop a hunker and move up. So this might just be a case where K2SO hunkers and climbs to make sure that he gets up there.
Yeah, he kind of, unless he blocks the ladder, he can't really shoot boss for that reason. He can't shoot the rebel commandos. I'm sorry, the clone commandos at all because they have scale, so they could climb up.
Looks like he was in range 1. Obvious to me, that play was slightly risky because I think if you miss that and the range 1 doesn't work, and maybe Evan just eyes it better than I do, but because it's not a high impact shot, I would have liked the hunker and then climb just to like guarantee that I'm taking it, because K2SO is so frustrating. But
yeah, I might have done that because I lean conservatively on my plays, and I'm just scared of not making the placement.
Yeah. That's something I when I'm trying to teach and coach, I generally try to cover that, like, hey, you can't back up and do it the opposite way, right? And so, when you get that situation, you're like, oh shit, I don't fit. Like, did I just lose the game?
Right.
But this seems to work out for Evan. Getting some early damage on Fixer is a huge deal. I would have, obviously it would have been that one of the interesting things about this is that exact positioning of the Rebel Commando, I think, is kind of hurting Evan here. And that's something you don't often think about until you're kind of in a retrospective, where obviously if you could get K2SO, so K2SO was on the middle, right? Like right on top of the objective, that would be huge. But at least here he got the shove so he can kind of hit that edge, which isn't potentially quite as good, but still solid.
Yeah, with these circular platforms, you have to like do the mental geometry a little bit differently versus some of the others and say, can I fit 2 circles here if I go up the ladder in the middle?
Yes. Yeah. And that's what is one of the things about changing up the terrain a little bit that can just kind of change some of your concepts, right? Which is why it is good to have a little bit of table variety here and there. I know not everybody loves playing on the 3D print tables, and I do think too many of them are suboptimal, but it's nice to change up some of that geometry for players. And it looks like Ryan has pulled Shatterpoint. So Chris, what do you think here? Who would you be Shatterpointing in this moment?
It's so hard to not shatter boss. I think you shatter boss as much as you can until your stuff starts to get wounded, and then you have to shatter your supports.
Yeah.
Oh, but they've got a first contact thing they need to resolve first.
So it looks like he's searching for Obi, which does.
Oh, he pulled Obi. It's just right barely at the edge of the screen. They're determining whether or not Obi gets his patience ability from this.
Yeah. So it sounds like he does get patience. It says when he is put into reserve. The first part of the ability says when it is revealed, you may choose to do X. But in this case, the part of it that's important here is when this character card is put into reserve, you get 3 heals and a jump. That's a really cool interaction. I know he's been practicing first contact with this list for quite a bit. That's not something I had considered. I like seeing that. What are your thoughts on that?
I hadn't thought about that either. I think it's neat. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, like getting, because you kind of get a dash and Obi in reserve.
Yeah, such a good reserve target.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. But I mean, I'm not surprised that that Ryan has found cool synergies with first contact in this list with how much he's been practicing it.
I was considering, do I shatter boss? It's so hard to not shatter boss.
Yeah. I mean, I do think 7 Scorch is a very reasonable consideration here, but I also would not actually hate Rebel Commandos. They've lived. They could go take a back point. But there's also a downside, right? If you let him stack up on the middle while K2SO's there, that's definitely rough.
Yeah.
But in these situations...
Yeah, and the Rebel Commandos...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, sorry, not the Rebel Commandos, the clone Commandos.
Yeah.
Don't have shoves. So he's like, if I do go take the back point, I can't deal with K2SO.
Yeah.
I just can maybe try and kill him.
Yeah, and they would get pinned,
actually,
right, if they kill him.
Maybe that's not true. I guess I don't know where the other part of 7 Scorch is. Maybe they're underneath there and they could rule 17. So maybe that's actually possible.
Oh man, that would actually be super cool. Like, have the Rebel Commandos get him down to like 1 and try to have 7 Scorch finish him so that the pin goes on 7 Scorch. That's a cool interaction.
Yeah.
But also 7 Scorch being able to kill him with explosives to ignore his triggers.
Oh, true. Yeah, another way to get around the
deny a Kanan jump, deny the K2SO triggers.
Right.
But this looks like a boss play. I guess it could be Rex.
He might even be, if it is a boss play, that Rebel Commando, Clone Commando.
Yeah.
Might be in range of this side objective for if you bomb that objective to climb on up to the middle. Maybe?
Yeah.
It's hard to say if he's in range or not.
I think he is. Having done a few of these videos, that certainly looks like range 2 to me.
Yeah. He's picked up boss's card. Okay.
Yeah.
The combat tree. Yeah, he's going with boss.
Yeah, it looks like he took the free dash just to go up a short ladder. Or is he just standing there on the side? We need to limit players to a certain amount of commandos per game. Maybe this is why Kenny calls Rebel Commandos Rangers.
Right. There's too many commandos. Thank goodness we're not seeing the Mandalorian Super Commandos.
Yeah. Man. 4 crits, 4 hits after expertise.
As the thing about boss, he gets what he wants, and you just have to accept that when he's rolling dice at you, he gets what he wants.
Yeah.
There's not quite a full tree.
Yeah, 6 damage, dash, expose, recover, something like that.
Yep.
Here, they're just trying to get the clean placement for where he drops down. You also have to be careful here. This is one where one shove, like if you're not careful, because if you shove down and then he lands partially on those 2 gantries, he would literally just reverse and go back up to the top. All right, so we got K2SO off the point, so he's going to blow up the objective within range 3 of Fixer. So what they're talking about here is so what they're reviewing here is just whether or not he can go up the ladder. And they agree that he could do the ladder on that side as well. And so it looks like he's resolving Rule 17 here, which I haven't actually.
It'd be really nice if he could get one more clone up here.
Yeah. So I think that's why he was trying to go for the other side, because if Boss makes it, then it makes the Rule 17 better because he knows that that clone can come up the ladder. Oh. This would have been cool if Boss could have taken the back point, right? If he dashed past the Republic, past 7 Scorch, because he still has a move action. God, that would have been a great play.
Yeah, he could have flown across the map.
Yeah.
And still Rule 17'd.
Right. Oh man. That would have been such a big swing. I didn't even think about that until just now. Rule 17 is not on the top of my brain.
I guess I don't know if K2 is in range 2 of the midline objective. I think he probably isn't.
No, because he was on the edge of the circle, so one shove would definitely put him outside of range 2.
If he does put one body in 2 different places, like let's say he were to...
Yeah.
Sorry, he's just talking about the explosive solution ability.
Yep. Well, I mean, he gains another momentum without having to trigger the Kanan ability.
Killing K2 is really nice.
Yeah. I guess there is a world where going for that back objective when you know you're going to get a kill and you have the Cassian trigger. Maybe it's not as great as I was thinking, but I also wouldn't.
You read my mind.
Yeah, but I don't think it was critical to wound K2SO there. Right? I think you could have still just had Boss go take that back point, accept the rule, the 7 score, or whichever one that is. I think that's Scorch, is just on that point, and, force Evan to start splitting up. And then you can always just use the explosives during the 7 Scorch turn to finish off and deal like 1 damage to K2SO or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, if he ends up splitting wide and taking all these objectives, he has to be very cautious about when he takes the kill, because there is a Cassian revenge to say, I'm going to still have a body here. Now, it does force your opponent to use a Cassian trigger in a specific place, which maybe you like. But it also weakens your stronghold, your strength on a specific midline objective.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't see it at the beginning, so I certainly can't blame Ryan for not seeing it, but I think the stronger play there would have been just let Rule of 17 take the middle, since you've already got K2SO off, move towards that back objective, and then don't worry about Delta explosives and just score 4. And that, I think, would have put Ryan in a really strong position, and you can deal with K2SO later. Obviously, if Cassian
I'm having the eyes in the sky view.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, if Cassian comes up next, we already know that there isn't a, even if Cassian moved K2SO onto that point, right? I think that's still fine. All right.
Having the eyes in the sky view, maybe it changes things for sure, when you're like, oh, look, it's actually not that far to get Boss to 2 advances to get back here, where it might look different for them.
Yeah. Well, additionally, when you start like getting yourself into a play, right, where if you're playing from Ryan's point of view, he has figured out a plan, right? And sometimes it can be really hard to just like jump out of that plan when you realize something, because neither of us realized that was a potential at the beginning. And but we're looking for plays. He's looking on executing his play perfectly, which is just a little bit different. All right, we got a Kanan activation now. Ooh, do we think
On what you just said, though, so true. I'll be watching my brother play video games and say, "Why didn't you do this?" And he was like, "I didn't see that."
Yeah. But I think now Kanan's going for a back point, is what it looks like to me, which I like quite a bit. You don't want to cluster up too much against this kind of like fixer build, right? Where you could just be ending up adding so many dice to these various attacks. So I think for Evan to kind of try to take the outsides and not invest too much on the middle is huge. And that just leads into my strategy for these X shapes is take a back point when you can, because you can almost always fight over the middle. Do you like this play, Chris?
Yeah, and there's no other specters in this list, so Kanan can choose himself and get 2 dashes, and that's kind of the only way that dashes are happening for Kanan. So he's like, all right, I have a ton of mobility.
Yeah.
This is a perfect time to take a backline objective, and exactly like you said, I have other things that can threaten the midline, but maybe Kanan's the only one that can threaten the backline.
I would really like it if he takes a final Kanan positioning that's outside of range 5 of Fixer. Would be huge. If he does that, that's going to be masterclass. Oh, so
yeah, he's gonna have to figure out, because they have steadfast 7 Scorch is on the back line, so he's got to say, all right, I need the perfect spot to solve this problem, because if I only get one shove, then I don't take an objective without using force.
Yeah. So here what we have going on is there's some discussion about what is legal uses of the what are the legal uses for tools in the particular game. And so they've called over a judge to clarify. And I don't know if this has officially hit the rules forum for Shatterpoint or not, because I've never bothered to check because it came up for MCP. You are not allowed to check an angle in advance.
I don't recall if it has,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised, because I know this was a topic of conversation a while back, and I think Thoras was like, so we can assume that it's the same, but until you post it, right?
Right. Yeah. So I definitely play it where you cannot check the angle, because I would be so surprised if they ruled Shatterpoint different than MCP in this case.
Same, yeah.
And so here they're just kind of talking out some of the different, like, well, is this legal for me to do? Is this legal for me to do? I will definitely say this is one of the AMG rules that I don't love.
You don't love the angle
Well,
thing?
I think for the most part, I would just let people use the individual tools how they want. And like, you create these kind of exact situations where you're like, well, you get into the kind of the thought crime territory where it's like, it has to do with the intentionality.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Trying to make sure we don't miss anything in the discussion. But long story short, I just wouldn't be trying to check angles in advance. Just accept that you've got to declare that you're doing a thing and be in the position and then resolve it. Like, can I use the tool like this to try to get an idea of it? I would just try to avoid that stuff.
And a hard thing to like to solve, to kind of get down to the bottom of in a tournament game too, where you're like more on a clock.
Yeah.
some things you want to have a surefire solutions. This is what I'm going to do, so it can be snappy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're still having just some more discussion about it between the players. Yeah. Yeah. So then there's just a little discussion like, hey, let's not spend too much time on this. There's always a chance that, a game can go to time. This is just a really, two strong players playing out a really challenging, close to 50-50 matchup.
Especially on first contact,
Yeah.
where it's like there's a lot of ways to pull the game back.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you're a player and you're kind of confused, like, what's the situation? You can't check a shove angle in advance. You've got to declare your position, and then when you're resolving the shove, you do it. I would be very, very surprised if AMG ruled MCP and Shatterpoint differently in that regard, since the tools and stuff is so similar. I have no idea if Legion has that.
I don't know. Haven't dipped my toes in there yet.
It is the more StarCraft.
Yeah, well, they have
game.
they have a lot of separatists, and I have a clear and obvious bias. So
yeah, new Grievous unit starter box has been popping up on social media.
Yeah, it's so tempting. So it sounds like he's choosing to stay on pack leader with Kanan while doing a melee attack into 7 Scorch.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think if you get yourself into a position where you are not on pack leader and then suddenly Kanan can't rotate well enough, that could lose a game.
Yeah.
So looked like a fairly average block, but I don't know if anything actually happened with the attack roll. But it looks like they just resolved the force push now.
In fact, it happened to Evan the day prior to this match. He's flipped Kanan into Ceresu and ended up regretting it. So he's probably thinking back on that, saying, "Nope, I don't want to switch to Ceresu."
Right. So Rex is the next pull for Ryan. Looks like he dashes 7. I think that was Sev over there. Gets him back on the point with a hunker token.
Mm-hmm. The backline, not that it doesn't really matter. It's the same unit. Backline there is Scorch. Sev's got this giant gun.
Okay.
That I can see in the middle. This is where I push up my glasses on this and say, well actually.
I could tell them apart. I was guessing a little bit. I thought the gun on the middle looked like the shorter one, but
yeah,
you might be on a bigger screen than me. You did leave
and I magnified it.
Kanan within range 5 of Fixer. Looks like 2 expertise. I can't tell if the bottom one is a block.
He said 3 blocks. I think attacking here is the right call. When you put down the measuring tool to determine if you could just take cover onto the objective, it was really iffy. And like I said, I'm a conservative player, and I'd look at that and say, if I don't make this, I don't get the objective, and that's tragic in a tournament setting.
I also, just because you have so many things that could be affecting that point over there, and you got a Rex activation, this is another situation where I would have really liked to see if Rex could have taken that back point. And maybe this is just my personal mindset, but I think if I were to criticize Ryan on anything here, is I feel like one of these plays, you have to go after that back point. If you just leave it and you're fighting over the stuff on your side, because 7 Scorch aren't in a great position to take that back point from someone potentially later on, but they could take that point in front of his deployment. That's That's just something I feel like if you're playing these X shapes, you have got to take a back point when you can, which is what Evan did. And so that my gut is that that's going to lead to Evan being slightly advantaged here, but still a score of what's that?
I was thinking maybe because, like, on the flip side of that, if you go take the opponent's back point, they have more cards that could, in theory, react to what you just did. If you take your own back point, there's very few things that can maybe get across the map to threaten it.
But on that side, like, Commandos and K2SO have already activated. And so, like, Cassian is going to have a hard time taking a point from Rex.
That's so true, especially when he's got OB hunkers.
Yeah. So unless he decides to solve that problem with the Shatterpoint card, I feel like that would be a very strong point for him, because I think Baze and Chirrut are going to have a hard time getting all the way over there. So it's like Shatterpoint Rebel Commandos or don't take the point. But
yeah.
But we got a Baze and Chirrut turn, which is always a big one for the Rebel player. Best unit in the game, Chris?
I think so.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But this might not be the most impactful turn for them. They're going to have a hard time getting up that ladder without moving someone first, and both of those characters have hunger tokens to reposition.
That midline is going to be such a hard objective to crack.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, because of the ladders. Like, how do I get up here?
Yeah.
How do I solve 7 Scorch and a boss hunkered?
This is not one of my tables. It's not with a plethora of ingress points. I went very moderate when I set up this one to have a high contrast to my heavy ingress table. So, yeah.
Variety is good. Some with lots of ladders and some with very few ladders is good, as long as there's variety.
Yeah, I would say this is probably in the range of maybe an average amount of ladders.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious here what Evan would do with Baze and Chirrut.
Yeah, he's kind of ruled out that back corner objective.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I do think this is a hard turn to decide what Baze and Chirrut do. How do you get them into an impactful situation here? You really don't want a Baze and Chirrut activation to just kind of reinforce a point.
Yeah.
Would you reserve them here and save them for a different moment, or do you think you do take this activation?
It's so hard. Because if he scores just the 2, that's not quite going to cut it, and that puts him in a position where his opponent could then pull it back to their side and maybe win the struggle. So he has to make something play. I might reserve them. But if there's a unit that can make magical plays, it's also them. So that's tough.
Yeah.
He's going with them. He did their dash ability.
Yep. Definitely a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get a big swing and maybe like even killing the Republic Commandos isn't huge here, because it's actually Sev who's on that point, right? And so
yeah. This is the power of Republic, is all the Republic stuff is healthy.
So here, another measurement thing that comes up occasionally is, even if you're going to be obviously within range 1 of the ladder with the placement that you're choosing, you do have to be measuring range 1 of the ladder. You can't be measuring range 2 of something else. In this case, which was what Evan wanted to do there, he wanted to just make sure that he was within range 2 of that Rebel Commando for melee, but you can't be checking that when you're going up a ladder. That you absolutely cannot do. Another thing that gets missed very commonly, very, very common mistake I see in Shatterpoint.
Yeah, it's because we think like, well, it's clearly within, right?
Yes.
But you have to, by the rules of the game, you have to measure it.
Yeah, that's another one that I wouldn't mind if that was reverse. I would rather like let's make sure we're getting the positioning that we want. When and then if I don't place within range 1 of the ladder, back me up or whatever. But
yeah,
lots of expertise on that roll for the Republic Commando.
looks like my dice rolls.
Or maybe I walked by the table and just infected the expertise.
It's yours. You're famously known for rolling a ton of expertise.
Yeah. Well, it's not just me. It's anyone who's like within 3 feet radius of me.
There's a bubble.
Yes. It's an aura for sure. Wow. Just ends up being 1 damage disarm pin. I think Ryan would be happy about that overall.
Yeah.
Very solid block for the Republic Commandos. Four blocks crit to hit.
He should have climbed off that pin last time.
All right, 3 damage reduced to 2. Now we've got Ryan deciding if he wants to ditch his hunkers, which he is going to do. So ditch the hunker, remove 1 damage, and then removes pin with the dash.
So it wouldn't have mattered if he did climb the pin off before. He ended up with the same amount of health and conditions.
Yeah.
I'd say you could gain extra movement from that, but I think he's exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's a world there where you just remove the pin and then get that guy on the point.
Yeah.
But what I would have liked to see there is to see if Sev moved directly towards Cassian, maybe there's a world where he could have shoved himself in range to climb up. Yep, and Ryan is talking about it right now. He's like, I should have dashed the other direction.
Yeah.
I do still think there's a world where even with the position that he's chosen now, where you shoot at Cassian, just try to give yourself shoves, and if you go far enough down, there's a climb on the tree.
He's gonna have to figure out how to ditch that disarm first. Like I think that I agree with that's a really good play though.
Yeah. Well, he can utilize he can take the shot on the other side, right? At Kanan.
Yeah. Yeah. Shooting Kanan's scary. I like 7 Scorch are really tanky, but taking deflect damage I don't love.
So I think he just took a move action to that point. I think he's just gonna hunker. Or take cover.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I'm fine with that. As much as 7 Scorch have amazing turns, I think in this point, you want objectives.
Solid turn.
Yeah.
He's channeling his inner Chris by saying, I'm just too scared the dice aren't going to work with me. I'm just going to go take that objective no matter what.
The odds of hunker is 100%.
Yeah.
Bodhi. I don't feel like Bodhi is a good pull for Evan.
I don't think he can flip any objectives with Bodhi.
Yeah, I think it would be really hard to get. Well, I don't know if Bodhi could get to that point, but like, could he dash Cassian to that ladder, get Cassian up? I feel like there's a ladder on that terrain somewhere.
I think there is a ladder. I see it, in fact. Yeah, just to the
dash.
Yeah, outside of the terrain.
dash Cassian to that, and then he would also get a dash, and then he has a full advance. Maybe there's a world where shots plus, I don't know.
The dash from Bodhi is only a range 4, so you'd have to
Oh,
get across the map and still be range 4 Cassian. I found that out in my last game in the semis with Evan.
oh, so what they're discussing now is because he's starting off on an objective, he's using that momentum ability right now, where Ryan has to either sacrifice some momentum or there's a chance that Bodhi could gain 3 momentum. Ooh, this is Vegas gambling. Looks like 1 momentum. Oh man, that is such a. What would you have done in that situation? My gut is sacrifice the momentum if I'm in Ryan's position, because he could be running out real soon.
So Ryan has 4 objectives. I might have sacrificed the momentum.
Yeah.
Like I see why he didn't, because he's like, well, if I give this momentum up, I might not.
You might not
by
win
somehow I might not get the struggle. Yeah.
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 Five blocks from Ryan. Do you know who got attacked?
The clone commandos? Must have been the clone commandos, right? I don't think anybody else is in range. Yeah. He's on the clone commandos.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that is definitely going to be the end of struggle 1. So I think he said the last card, or he believes Fixer is his next card, is what we're hearing.
So then you would have the choice between Fixer and Obi.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's put Obi on the bottom. Or, no, he'd already activated it. Oh,
Obi's just in reserve.
Yeah, he's in reserve, slightly off screen. Okay. What do you think about that play there? Would you do Fixer or Obi?
I know I'm gonna win the struggle. Obi can't really do a whole lot in his current position, but I think that's fine. I think I go with Obi and say at the beginning of the next struggle, I want someone that can move multiple bodies to relocate.
Yeah. Obi definitely has the ability to like flex to a different side of the board a little bit better than Fixer does potentially, but I think I agree with you there. I think I would probably take, because especially a turn where it doesn't super matter like what you do with Obi, I think having Obi hunkered in a solid position and then plan for like Rex or something to move him. Yeah, I think I would have liked to see Obi there. And being able to position Fixer towards where the important part of the game state is going to be. But all right, we're going to go ahead and pause here. And let's talk a little bit about this first struggle. So it definitely seemed like at a certain point that Evan felt like slightly advantaged, but then it has swung back in Ryan's favor. Do you think that was an inaccurate idea of how advantaged Evan was halfway through the struggle? Or do you think it's just that it did end up swinging in Ryan's favor?
I feel like this is the really, really hard part of dealing with an Obi list, or a boss Obi list. If you're a Cassian kind of a list, is if it's the X, so you can get everybody to the midline, which probably really favors Ryan, because he can get all of his clones there and then just hunker down and say good luck. So I don't know. There were times when Evan got to take the objective back, but really, really powerful card draws from Ryan just kind of cemented. Like once K2 got knocked off that midline and killed, I don't know that there was a way back into that struggle.
Yeah, I would say like there was a kind of defining moment for me in that struggle, because obviously there were some points where I was like, Ryan, go take that back point, buddy, get back there, and I still I stand by. I think that was the right play, and I bet when Ryan watches this that he'll probably agree that he should have taken that point sooner. But with all that said, he takes the struggle, and he has more wounds than his opponent, so he's got to be feeling like he is in a very solid position. But overall, shutting down Baze and Charut was so huge. Leaving the board state where Baze and Charut accomplish almost nothing. Like, we agree, probably the best unit in the game. Like, period. Across all, primary, secondary support, best in the game, and they didn't flip a point.
So wild.
Yeah, and so I think setting up that position was fantastic. And so, man, that really hit for me. Do you have like a favorite play or anything from the first struggle there? While you're thinking about it,
I really enjoy the boss plays.
Oh yeah,
I just like the boss plays where he gets to move a bunch of pieces, because I think that's really what you need to do versus a Cassian list, is move a bunch more bodies than they do, have an explosive turn, and just cement your lead. So I think his boss plays I really enjoyed.
Yeah. I'm not going to shout out the boss play because I really wanted a boss play to go take the back point. But I think the subtle choice to hunker with 7 Scorch in that late activation probably cemented the win for him. And I think it's really easy at times to like take shots. You've got, you're already developing a lead. Try to shove yourself onto the point, right? He could have gone up that ladder, shot at Cassian, and tried to shove himself onto the point, but then he doesn't have the hunker for the defensive capability, and there's the chance that Cassian spikes into a bunch of expertise because Omnis walked by the table accidentally and screwed up the whole game. But yeah, that was, I think the subtle choice to hunker there was probably one of my favorites.
Okay, you know what? You've turned me. That play did give me the warm fuzzies where I was like, yes, it's guaranteed. Yes. Take the objective.
Take the win.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to dig into these next 2 struggles and see how this whole thing unfolds. So let's go ahead and dig into it. All right. We are starting struggle 2. This is an interesting flip. I don't see anything obvious for Evan here, but at least Bodhi starts off controlling 1 point this way as opposed to the other side, which he's controlling nothing.
Yeah, I actually like this flip for him. He's got, I can't quite see who's on the midline on the left. I don't know if it's Kanan and Scorch is over there, or if they're out of range.
Oh yeah, it's a little hard to see whether those guys. Yeah, if Kanan's on the middle, that's a big deal. Cassian pull here is solid because at the very least, like if Scorch and Kanan are both not on the point, and he can just dash Kanan onto the point, and then Cassian can go take one on the side, that's huge. But what is your strategy going into this one? Because obviously, if you take 3 points, there's a potential for it to just flip, and your opponent has 2 force and doesn't need 2 force.
I think there's a couple of ways you could look at the strategy on this and say, all right, am I bodied in the same places as my opponent? Okay, then I'm going to maybe try and score 3 and just go aggro. Like I said, I see red, so that's kind of my strategy sometimes as well. I'm going to be on the same objectives and I'm going to kill your stuff.
Yeah, you probably have to, right? Because so the way I've played a lot of First Contact is that I will try to score 2 and get a wound, but this Obi list is going to be hard to damage, right? Like everything has hunker tokens. He's barely pushed through any damage so far. So he probably has to go for points. So I think your plan is probably all right. Ooh, finally a bad defense roll for Ryan. 2 expertise, 5 fails.
Aubrey must have walked by.
Oh, oh, Aubrey. Looks like Cassian's going 4 down. I think that's on 7 Scorch. Oh, no, on Boss.
Oh, the boss. I guess he doesn't want to shoot into Sev and have Sev go to the objective.
Yeah.
Because of the hunger.
So he removes the hunger off Boss to remove the strain, and then uses the dash to remove the pin. So there is a potential here. Ryan is obviously a little concerned about time. He knows how much time this can take. Do you think there's a world here where you just give up Struggle 2 and try to let it end quickly? And just try to make sure your guys are on every other point, especially with Cassian on the table, and this town is ready to blow? What do you think? Do you fight over this, or do you just go, hey, I'm going to take every point that is not an active point right now?
I think I would start by not fighting over it, and then see what happens. That happened in a couple of my games where I planned on not fighting over it, and then it just kind of tilted out of control, and I said, oh, I'm absolutely fighting for it now.
Yeah. Well, especially the world where you don't have the priorities to kind of swing things. Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard deliberation. Sometimes I've definitely felt like I fought over Struggle 2 too much, and it actually ended up hurting me. And so, yeah, I like the idea of going for damage here and ignoring the struggle, but that does not seem to be what Ryan is going for. Good block roll from Cassian. Damn.
My boy.
4 blocks crit to fail for Evan. Obi goes 2 down.
Hello there, attack. 2 down. Oof.
Cassian's just flexing on Obi, like, who's got the best show now, Jedi? Rule 17.
At least that secures them the objective no matter what.
Hey, and this is an opportunity to get rid of Disarm.
True.
Spend a force for a dash and a heal, basically.
Still a really good roll, like 3 hits and a expertise and a fail.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy when like a disarmed attack just like is amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it occurred to me until just now that Rule 17 was Galactic Republic and not clone. So many of their abilities are clone specific.
Yeah.
I probably would have totally missed that play. Like,
it's so good.
The ability for Obi to move a support is huge.
Yeah.
Look at me. I thought that 1 extra force was going to be useless. And Ryan found a way.
So so Evan is deciding what to do with the Shatterpoint on the first contact rule. Yeah.
What do you think of the Shatterpoint mechanic in this one? I think it's one of my favorite parts about this mission is like when the Shatterpoint card flips up, both sides gets an advantage. Is so thought-provoking. I just love it.
There are 2 schools of thought, I should say, to this. And one school of thought is, I hate giving my opponent anything.
Yeah.
And the other is, sure, you get a thing, but I'm going to get a more impactful thing. So I think it's really fun. I can say that for sure. I think it's a really fun mechanic.
I like how it makes me think when I'm like questioning whether I should reserve something. And I'm like, wait a second, if I pull Shatterpoint, how bad is it for me?
Exactly. You can also bamboozle your opponent with it. I've had that happen before too, where, they do a play with Shatterpoint and you put the perfect card into reserve and they're like, oh no.
Yeah, Sin did that to me a couple weeks ago where I was like,
Really?
oh shit, I didn't even see that coming. Days and
Right.
Chirrut suddenly in reserve. I was like, oh, I hate that. Why did you have to
Yep.
do that?
Yep.
I don't think I said it in this video. I do tend to speed these up by about 10 to 15%. And so when mission critical is called, if you're thinking, that seemed like it came a little bit fast, I just try not to let these drag out too long. Yeah, I know that YouTube viewers have limited patience.
I know I do. Whenever
Oh,
I'd watch my replays in other games, I would like turn it to ×8.
yeah. Most of these battle report videos end up being somewhere in an hour range, and the average watch time is 15 minutes.
Ooh.
Here
Evan
they were
just
just
pointing out,
removing the
hey,
disarm that they forgot to remove from 7 Scorch.
yep.
Both of these guys with their
Well,
non-painted templates. Come on, Evan and Ryan, get a little
mine were
color on
painted,
these.
but now they're gray again. I didn't varnish them. Apparently,
Oh.
you have to.
I feel like I have to touch them so often that I've seen the painted ones wear down. So I like triple prime, triple seal.
Yep. Does that make them harder to swivel or no?
No, not really.
Okay.
You maybe like right at first, you got to like make sure you give it a little bit of pressure. And I try to prime and seal them separate before I like snap them together.
Oh, good plan. Good plan.
And you don't have to go heavy in that section. Like you could do like one layer on the inside and then kind of just block it with paste or something,
Yeah.
or putty. Probably not put paste in there, but everywhere you're gonna touch, like on the outside. Looks
I
like
don't
Chirrut.
remember the Basin turret being unpainted in my game. In my memory, they're painted. In my game versus Evan.
Wouldn't that be crazy if he painted them between the rounds?
Right? I've got an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely in the must play fully painted. And even if I'm willing to play something that's like not complete, or I'm just so excited that I'm willing to place like one model that's not, that's just primed or something, being at a GT without fully painted models would drive me insane.
Yeah.
But that's an Omnis problem, not an Evan problem.
I feel that too. I'll like at least try and make it somewhat colored.
Yeah. It'd be particularly tough playing against a Republic player with, can you imagine
Oh
trying to
my
tell all the
goodness.
clones and stuff apart?
I saw some beautifully painted clones that weren't to the correct, like the Canon color scheme, and they looked amazing, but I had no idea who was who.
Yeah, you haven't played against all my black and red ones. I'd be curious if you can tell them apart.
I feel like you've done a really good job, like marking the markings though. With they're not the right colors technically, but they're still very distinct
I
who they
try.
are.
So that looks like a big hit on Rex for 6 damage, expose, disarm, which he is dumping his 2 hunkers. You're going to take off a damage, and then you're debating damage or expose. What do you think about that choice there? A damage or an expose?
If I have to choose what's going to get me killed, I think I take off the expose instead of the damage.
I'm 100% with you. A block is just so often, at the bare minimum, a damage. And if you spike and you roll like 3 expertise or something, it's potentially 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Like the only situation that removing the 1 damage is better if you just don't roll any you just don't roll any expertise, or they just roll crits or something.
Well, seeing the roll, he chose the right way.
Oh yeah, no. Maybe he can just see the future better than us.
See the future.
Ryan
Based
the
off of his
prophet.
previous roles, I would have taken the expose every time because there was a
Yes.
lot of expertise.
Ryan's got to prove us wrong on camera. Damn that guy. That is a wound on Rex. Evan has his first wound.
That's crazy. I want to play this list so badly.
Which one?
The Republic side, just
Yeah.
it feels like it matches me.
I played against it yesterday, that exact list, and it hits both of your instincts. You're seeing red, and you're, what if I just take points and guarantee I score?
Yeah.
All right, Fixer comes up for Ryan for the Republic side. For someone named Fixer, I feel like he often does not fix problems.
That's funny. I would have said the exact opposite. He always fixes my problems.
Yeah.
Someone taught me this super cool play where you can put the heal dash onto boss, and boss can then change it into an advance. It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's really solid.
Of course, boss in this scenario is nowhere near an objective, so we don't do that. But
yeah. But I think that's a good shout, because you want to be thinking about that if Fixer hasn't come up in the deck yet, and where you try to position boss. Not that Ryan had any choice of where boss was going to go when he last activated.
Yeah. So this objective right now has 7 Scorch, like 1 model from 7 Scorch are on it, and 2 models from Base and Turret. Yeah. So if he just gets Fixer to that objective, he'll tie break it.
But Baze and Shrewd are both on the point, right? And so he could spend a force and you could not tie break it.
I so rarely see that role played.
Yeah. But I suppose
that's for the window door.
Yeah. But I think their tiebreaker just doesn't put it, like, removes the control token, right? It doesn't mean they score it. But overall here, the more I see how this struggle is unfolding, I really want Ryan to give up on the struggle. So he elected to not spend the force for it, and just let Ryan get that point.
I do not know how this ability works. I feel like reading it lets him remove a control token if they're, like, the bodies are tied, but the other guy already owns it, but I don't.
So the way that the tiebreakers work is still tied. You just get to take control of the objective.
Got it.
So I don't think there's an official ruling on it, but we had this come up at Evergreen, and it looks to me, oh no, it got officially ruled after Evergreen. It's just, it has the same timing window as the tiebreaker mechanics.
Okay. And since he's the inactive player, then he could. Yeah, okay. I see.
I hear them apologizing to me, but Rebel Commandos here. Yeah. Neither one of these players really getting, like, a distinctively strong struggle 2 position definitely worries me for the length of the game, because we know first contact can run long, and if struggle 2 takes too long at a GT like this, then you have a huge risk of going to time. But
it comes back to what you were saying, right? Which is, do I just let this struggle go so that I can get into struggle 3 where I get to choose the first layout, have the first turn?
Yeah. Well, and being able to dodge the Cassian damage, right? Like, you have such potential for the Cassian damage to backfire on you as well.
True. Yeah, if you get struggle 1 versus Cassian and you can just avoid that damage, that actually makes a very, very big difference.
Yeah. I just realized, did they forget the Cassian roll at the end of struggle 1? I don't remember
I
them
think
doing it.
so. Because nothing's damaged. Yeah, they probably we missed it.
Yeah. I've had to I know that Nick at Evergreen, he had like a note right in front of him to help him remember. I have this like 501st like 25th anniversary coin or something that I forget how I got it, but I've been putting it under the cards. So when I flip over a card, I'm like, "Oh, coin."
I can't remember who it was, but someone in Arizona had like a 3D printed bomb exploding
Yeah.
that they put down next to the struggle tracker.
My worry is if it's something that's visible all the time, my brain will eventually like ignore it.
Yeah.
So, it is a Rebel Commandos activation. My last Rebel Commando activation yesterday did practically nothing.
Oh no.
4 balls
Every once
to
in a
hit.
while, they have to be reminded what it's like to be immortal.
Yeah. Two damage, pin, push. So I believe that's just 2 steps down. And that was on Fixer.
Man, Fixer just blocks so well. I've heard 2 different stories. I've heard people say Fixer goes down like a sack of potatoes, and other people say that he just lives and lives and lives. And I'm in the this guy's hard to take down camp.
I think my first game against him, like he was just dying so quickly, but it was not in an Obi build. I think it was a Hunter Fixer build. And in that, I think the bonus die from being like hunkered and like Obi stuff is just so huge on him because he does have a little
Yeah,
bit of crit mitigation. It's
his
amazing.
expertise is so good.
Yeah. It's it's crazy how much 5 dice attacks also just bounce off of an Obi list when you have so many things with
Yeah.
crit mitigation. Sounds like 3 blocks from Ryan. Looks like a good roll from the commandos there. 4 expertise, crit hit, 4 down. And that's a kill on Bosk. Or, sorry, Boss. Bosk is a boss, but we are talking about Delta Boss here.
Killing boss terrifies me. If I don't have to kill this guy, I don't want to.
He gets 3 more dice. Or,
Yeah.
ooh, that's definitely, that's like Vader dice all the time.
Yeah, he gets 3 more dice, and then he can do the thing where he gives himself 6 damage at the start of a turn and roll 5 dice extra. That's so
Yeah.
many.
Then he's probably hitting his full tree.
Yeah.
In this moment, I'm going to ask you kind of an adjacent question. How do you think Vader 1 Boss compares to Vader 1 Iden, the list that you were playing? Do you think they're about equal, or do you think the bonus Iden stuff is just too valuable?
I'm going to say something spicy and say that I think the boss version is weaker because of what you just said, how they both get to benefit from all these extra dice, and Delta does that really well, but then Iden is slowing its opponent down by dropping conditions left and right, and boss doesn't have anything like that.
Yep. All right. So he continues to fight over this and is going to switch. And so maybe this would be the one counter argument to my prior point about giving up the struggle is there's an element of you kind of switch the struggle at a certain point. But my concern is that Evan is now too advantaged in this struggle.
Yeah. I don't know that that switch helps him.
Yeah. Right after having that flip right after boss got wounded.
Yeah. Like he went from
Yeah. See,
like now he's got one objective.
I feel like this is just slowing down the game.
Yeah, I think I don't flip there, and I either take objectives on this turn or I let the struggle go.
Yeah. I think what I would have liked to see there is don't flip the objective, reserve the Shatterpoint. Or I know it's not technically reserving, right? Use that force to conserve the Shatterpoint for the next struggle, and just take the next card and like let Evan win this struggle and move on to the next one.
So Mission Critical was called right after he elected to flip the layout.
Even more reason. You're now in countdown territory. What are they checking here?
He's checking the dash. Like if he Shatterpoints 7 Scorch, he's got that dash. So I guess he's checking to see if he can dash towards Bodhi and get to this objective.
Yeah. No, so he is resolving the dash, and which is why they were checking the angle. I was a little concerned there that was now the reverse, and Ryan was checking an angle for something he couldn't check.
Right. So he's measuring range 3 to Cassian to see, probably so that he can see it. Can I blow this guy up with the 7 Scorch Bomb afterward?
Yep. Love that. I mean, he's only got 3 health left. This is always kind of an awkward moment. This was a baller roll, like absolutely insane roll for Sev over there.
He goes one down his tree.
Yep. He's choosing to just go 1 down, so he leaves him on 1 because he wants to deny the Kanan jump. No. I like here also he did the commando bonus damage on the first attack and then using Fixer on the other one. Good use of your triggers. Looks like he's going 3 down the tree. Did you see who he's attacking here?
I did not.
3 damage, 2 shoves, disarm on Rebel Commandos. That makes sense. Always happy to get damage on those guys. One of the things that's so crazy to me about this specific game is I feel like every game I play now, we're trying to kill each other's 7 Scorch and Baze and Chirrut, and like we're trying to kill each other's supports, so they're threatening to leave the table and struggle 3. And for the most part, I was actually standing by this when this happened. You realize that the Rebel Commando actually had Steadfast from Bodhi. But the question that came up was if the first shove shoves you into range and you gain Steadfast, do you still get another shove? And I believe you do. Steadfast only stops the first shove.
Correct. Steadfast only stops the first shove on the tree. I saw the ruling for this afterward, and I was like, "Oh, interesting."
Yeah, I always love learning those little quirks that could like be a huge, could derail a game, right? Like we already have concerns of how close this game could be come to time, right? And so just knowing those things in advance could save you.
Yeah. Intuitively, like not intuitively, but my thought process is that you would have gotten it, because I don't know the exact wording of that rule,
Yeah,
and
same.
it's similar how to other things can work.
Yeah. All right. So what happened here is Ryan realized that like, oh, he hadn't done the other action and he just wants to hunker. And Evan is totally fine with it, but he would like to shuffle K2SO back in since he's kind of revealing information. And so I think this is good communication between the players where they're both like, if you let me shuffle K2SO in, you can still have your other action. And I love that. So I think that's good on both players' card. Evan ends up pulling K2SO anyway, so it is destiny.
It's funny.
The force has spoken.
That's a tough one. I think I might. I don't know how I would do that if that were a question posed to me. I think I might say, hey, if I hadn't yet flipped a card, go ahead and take your action. But I think if I have flipped a card, I'm like, I'm sorry. I think we're stuck.
Yes, that's kind of where I'm at, where I would say if no new information has been revealed, then I'm totally fine with finishing your other action. I would not want to win a game on like, people are just managing time, right? And you're just like, oh no, I still had another action, no new information. I would let him do it. But yeah, well, as soon as there's information that's revealed, but I can see how from Evan's point of view, he didn't really want to activate K2SO there. So he almost like kind of got a little benefit out of Ryan's forgetfulness, but the force was not with him there.
Yeah. I also notoriously hate shuffling these 7-card decks, so that would have definitely been a part of my decision.
Really? Why do you dislike shuffling the 7-card decks?
I just don't like shuffling them. I don't know. There's no rational reason I can give you.
Is it just not enough cards?
Probably.
Yeah. What if it was double? What if it was a 14-card deck and you got twice as much force?
Okay, so I might like that better because I do enjoy shuffling. Well, not enjoy, but I like shuffling the Thrawn decks better. So.
Okay. We got to try Izzy's rule of 3 format, right? And you get 3 or 4 more cards.
Mm-hmm. This is rough. I don't think K2 can flip more than a single objective anywhere he goes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a world where if he pulls something else besides K2SO, that Cassian. This is definitely getting to the point where it's like, it's hard to predict plays in this particular list combination, right? Where the OB side kind of has more offensive output and better defenses and like more stickiness on points. But there's just so much tech in the Rebel list. It becomes really hard to figure out some of these plays where I feel like we hit a point where we're like, kind of just have to watch and see how it goes. I'm not even sure what I would do here.
Then I think AMG would consider that a win for their game because that's exactly what they set out to do.
Yeah. Which side of this matchup would you want to be playing? Like, if you got to play this game right now for like a GT finals, would you want to be the Cassian Kanan side or would you want to be the boss Obi side? I feel like I know the answer, but I'm curious what you would say.
I'd much rather be the boss Obi side, but that's because like you have the tech to just get to objectives, and also his supports are in such a good place right now.
Yeah. Well, I meant from scratch, not necessarily from this game state. But I agree with you.
I still would want the Obi side.
Yeah, I don't like playing against Obi, and so I think I would want to be on the Obi side of this because there's just like just one force push.
Also, there's something about boss. Like boss is legitimately one of the most fun things in this game for me to pilot. Like he just is such dynamic turns.
is that just the whole package, or do you think there's a key element to that makes him so exciting?
He has a lot of mobility, and then his explosive ability to dash more things and give them hunkers, and how all that combo is just it. You can like see the matrix with different plays. How I'm gonna dash this guy here, then rule 17 him there, then blow up that objective. Now he's on your backline. It's just like,
Oh, I hadn't really considered this in the moment where Evan was trying to leave a range 5 tool on the ground to be checking something, but if he needed to check range to the ladder, he's got to remove the 5. I hadn't even considered that until the moment. So it's a Cassian movement, and now he's spending a force to dash a rebel commando, it looks like.
and his measurement tool, his range 5 tool is over Fixer.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just talking about how they were wondering whether or not that commando was going to get within range 2, and both of them said it looked close, and then they move it and it's like way in, and I've had that happen to me as well.
Yeah.
So I know that was 2 templates out at the same time, but that was just a lack of removing the 2. They had finished Cassian's dash, and they were just trying to make sure he stayed in, and then he was declaring his attack and which one was in range. So there's no pre-measuring there. So it looked like he's using I've done terrible things to deal 2 damage, I think, to rebel commandos. Or did he deal the damage to Kanan?
He did the damage to Baze and Churut, I think.
Oh, okay, yes. Looks like a block and an expertise for Ryan. This was into Fixer, correct?
Yeah. I don't think Fixer makes it. That's a lot of crits still.
Yeah. Man. I think Cassian's looking at Fixer and he's like, I am the only fixer on this table. I fix all the rebel problems. Six damage, pin, disarm, expose. Increasing the cost of that, adding the dice, is such a huge deal. Yeah.
He needed that kill to secure the struggle now.
Yep. Which was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But I do think this leans towards Ryan probably fought over this struggle too much. And I think if there was no time factor, I don't think I dislike fighting over it, because you just don't know. Yeah. The Evan has no force left, so he cannot use Cassian's blowing the town since he's been wounded. Or he's injured now. But there's not a ton of time left in the round. They've already been in mission critical for a little bit.
Again, they're discussing the first contact, what happens when you Shatterpoint.
Yeah. Obi. See, last turn when that Shatterpoint came up, I would have so loved to not flip. If you had gotten Obi, could have gotten Obi onto a point and hunkered, and then like had the Shatterpoint saved in the deck still, would have been so good for him. So he is reserving Obi.
I don't know that he should have gone that way with Obi, with patience. There's nothing over here for Evan that can threaten this objective.
So right now Ryan's trying to figure out if he wants to score 3 and risk the potential flip. Evan can only really flip once at the moment because he doesn't have force, so he can only spend the 1 momentum, which is something that people don't realize. You can spend the 1 momentum you start a struggle with. What would you do? Would you go for 3 and put the initial pressure on, or do you want to try to retain the layout for a bit?
If I have all the time in the world, I go for 2, I think. But they know they don't have all the time in the world. I think I probably go with patience with Obi to be a little bit more central to objectives that are off right now and just be ready for potential flips and then score as many points as I can and let Evan, if Evan wants to really spend his momentum, fine.
Yeah. I think you make a really good call there, which I may have looked past totally, and it seems like Ryan did as well. Like if he left Obi, where Obi was maybe contesting those 2 midline side objectives, right, for the potential later flips, right? I think he could be
Yeah.
within range 2 of both of those,
Yeah, I think so.
and then that helps protect him from some of the flip options.
Now, I will say though, I haven't memorized all of the layouts, so maybe
What do
Ryan
you
knows that
mean you
this
haven't memorized
isn't for
all
first
of
contact.
them? Cannot believe you.
All
You're
right.
tearing down my view of the LVO champion already. All right, looks like it's Kanan coming up. And that was just a score of 2 for Ryan.
This next play is going to be really important. If this lands on 0, and then Ryan can play his next turn with a mission critical and the 0 momentum.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But how do you score more than 2? Like that seems really hard for Evan in this moment.
Well, not only do I not know how he could do that, but also then he lets Ryan flip the objectives if he does. So, like, this seems a really commanding position for Ryan.
Yeah, I would agree there. Yeah, I think this widespread, even though it doesn't seem great for Fixer, but Fixer is now at the point where his ability costs more force, so like it's not critical. Um, and I think the versatility of the Republic list is definitely advantaged on this shape. So the question that's coming up here, the question was, does 7 Scorch have steadfast and protection when an individual character, that is the one being targeted, is not on an active objective and it does not have those abilities at that time? It is not unit wide, even though one is on. The one that is not does not benefit from those things.
And OB lists are so scary because if you shoot somebody that has a hunker token, they can heal a different character in that same unit if they're a support and move somebody from across the map to maybe an objective you didn't see, which is really impactful on first contact.
Yes. They both of these lists create a lot of things for you to think about, right? You have Cassian revenge triggers, you have K2SO revenge triggers, you have the dropping the hunkers. I'm going to call that the Hello Hunker ability. 2 blocks crit to hit for Ryan's 7 Scorch. Looks like a good roll from Kanan, though. Kanan full trees on 7 Scorch.
His tree is terrifying. He can do 10 damage if he wants it. He's not doing the 10 damage route. He's doing the other route, which gives him some heals. Still kills the
Yeah, because he
target,
doesn't
though.
have protection. I always feel like my 7 Scorch die when the struggle flips and then they're not on an objective. And then
The protection pulls a lot of weight for them.
Yep. That's definitely a big play from Kanan. And he's using the heals that he's getting to heal 3 off of the Rebel Commandos.
I love boxes on trees that say reposition and then there's several heals because you get to choose, am I healing first or repositioning, or vice versa?
Yeah, when I first started playing Shatterpoint, the heals on trees felt very meh, but now I love it so much. I love healing damage back. So movement plus heal is sweet.
Yeah.
I think one of the really underrated parts of the Obi list is how dropping the hunkers can help you get your wounded characters out of the way, right? Where you're just like, well, I was blocking a ladder, but now I don't want them there because I want to be able to use this ladder now with my next character or something like that. Really huge.
Yeah. Or if, like, on the opposite side of the map, let's say Obi's got some serious problems with the conditions, you can heal that guy instead.
Yep. So as a score 2 goes to 0, both sides gain a momentum. 7 Scorch come back. I feel like this is definitely a solid flip for Ryan. The question is, does he want to score 3 here?
This is my nightmare when I bring down a really powerful support like 7 Scorch, and then the very next card is 7 Scorch, and you're like, oh, okay. So the thing did happen where it landed on 0, right?
Yep. Because because he's in such a solid position on that other side of the board, I think here I want to wound and don't take points. Right? Because is the tiebreaker after points? Is it wounds?
It is wounds, yeah. So they would claim, like, if they, well, they're 1-to-1 in struggles.
Yeah.
So wounds don't matter. Or do you mean the...
Yeah, I just meant if...
Well, no, it's elimination.
What was the tiebreaker if it goes to time and they both are controlling 2 objectives in the third struggle? What's the tiebreaker after that?
Because that can happen. It's first contact. Yes, then it would be wounds.
Yes. But right now, it looks like he is behind on wounds now? No. Yes. Yeah, he's only gotten 3 wounds, and now Republic has taken 4 total wounds. So I think he goes after Rebel Commandos here and tries to just stay in control with 2 objectives. Because if it flips and it's his turn, right? If Dice Down is called and it's his turn and he gets to have the last activation, he can take a 3rd point no problem. Where the inverse is he needs to match wounds as best he can. So I think I like taking 2 and killing Rebel Commandos.
And so if that were to happen and you tie on objectives and struggles and wounds,
it can be a true tie.
It can be a true tie, but it also can't because it's top cut. So do they roll dice? Like, they have to roll dice. Someone has to move on. You can't just have a true tie in.
Well, I think in that particular case, I don't know. I don't know if there's a rule. If I were the judge in that case, I would go, well, then we move to the next round and see if the next turn would end it the other direction. Which I think would favor Ryan in this case.
Probably. Yeah.
because Ryan's got two objectives that are very hard to take. So he scores 3. It looks like he's 2 points away from winning. Looks like he just put damage on Bodhi, but didn't get the wound.
He had the opportunity to blow Bodhi up with the bomb, with the 7 Scorches bomb, and chose not to do that, not to risk the wrath of revenge triggers.
Okay. This allows a shift in shape. Yeah.
This layout is really bad for Ryan.
Yeah. Now he activates K2SO, who is in reserve. And so that means that the Jisk is going to end the game because Evan is going to have 2 points and the Republic Commando on the top right is scoring an objective. So it goes 2-1. And that wraps the game. That is certainly an interesting way. That is certainly an interesting way to close things out. It would have been interesting there if Ryan did not score 3, right? Because there wasn't the opposing flip. I think the chance for K2SO to take a point from that Rebel Commando on the side is extremely unlikely. So it probably would go 2-2. But in that case, I suppose Ryan still loses, right? Because if they are both scoring 2, it goes to wounds, and Evan was ahead in wounds in the moment. So maybe he did have to go for that and just hope the flip was better or hope that there was more time. Do you have any thoughts on that closing?
It's really hard to tell. Like, let's say that you had the game go for another 15 minutes or something, right? And it just goes longer. I don't think I can confidently tell you who wins this game. I'd say it looks really strong for Ryan just because he has, like, because of where the momentum is, it's on his side. That's right. The struggle tracker's on his side. So he's got that advantage of being the first turn scorer on struggle 3, bouncing back and forth between his side, and maybe he can convert that to a win, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah. Yeah, if there was no time factored in, I do feel like Ryan was advantaged at the end. I don't know how it at the point where he does score 3 and gives Evan the chance to flip the score. Obviously, at that point, the whole game can change, right? He's not ahead by that much, right? He's only scored 3 past 0. He's only on the 3 marker. He's just gained a decent amount of momentum. A lot of that from mission critical. So, at that point, there's a very reasonable chance that it could swing heavily back in Evan's favor. But the turn earlier, if he just scores 2, maybe, takes the wound. I don't know if there was a play there with Cassian to like swing a different point. So, but I think if we backed up a step, I think he has to take the hit on Bodhi so that he's not kind of like screwed on tiebreakers. But
yeah.
With that said, I think that closing was going to be tight either way. And the more that I see this specific matchup where neither one has like a ton of tech for the other, like neither of these lists feel teched to, like the Cassian list doesn't feel teched to deal with Obi, which is the reason why when I play Cassian and Jin, I have Boosh in there, which I do feel like helps me with that matchup. Inversely, like obviously there's some anti-Kanan tech with all of the bombs and such, but it's not the list isn't really relying on Kanan revenge triggers, right? So they don't feel teched for each other. This feels like as close to a 50-50 matchup as almost possible in this game.
Yeah, I almost kind of really like an Ezra in this list to help with some of the clones if you can't get them off objectives. At least Ezra breaks ties. But you're right. Like this list, just because these two lists going into each other just might eat up more time. Like, they're just throwing a bunch of dice and then they're both durable and they both have steadfast tech.
I think I like, if you're not going to try to play Boosh, I think I like K2SO and Bodhi more than Callus and Ezra. Like, right, that would be a switch. You'd switch to 2 4s instead of a 5 and a 3.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, because I don't feel like this list has the force to really utilize Callus in that many significant ways. Ezra's a little bit easier to kill than I think both of them potentially. So I like his build, but I do think in this specific matchup, you could run into an issue, which maybe he should just play this list and then bring your Iden Vader 1 list and play Iden Vader 1 into Republic and don't have the problem. But I will say Ryan was in great spirits after the game, even though like losing on time and you feel a little advantage. Because honestly, he said the bracket would have him playing against you. And he did not feel like he had an answer for Iden Vader 1. And so he was ready to just watch his son move on into the semifinals. And was willing.
I know what it can feel like. I know what it can feel like when you're up. So we played in Swiss, right? And after Swiss, we talked about that. And he's like, I don't think I have a solution for the problem that your list is presenting me.
Yeah.
And so I know what it can be like when you're looking at the bracket going, if I win this game, I have to play against him. And I don't have an answer for that. Yeah.
Yep. I definitely feel that. And I have that game. I have not recorded commentary on that one yet. But I was happy to get one of your games in the Swiss rounds. But overall, I have to really express appreciation for both of the players letting me record. There's always a little bit of added stress of being on camera and kind of like the layout and stuff that I ask for. And I appreciate the players letting me do this. Do you have any last thoughts on this matchup, the lists, the table, LVO in general that you want to share before we wrap up this video?
I think this matchup is really fun to watch and to play. So, and the LVO was great. And last thing I think would be for me, like if you make top cut, I'm just probably going to be in generally good spirits, whether or not I proceed or not, because that's like, cool. You know what? Congrats. And now I get to relax and watch how this plays out.
Yeah. I know everyone gets stuff because you get the promo cards, right? But your comment there definitely makes me feel like it would be cool, like, to have like a badge or something just for making a top cut thing, something you like hang on your backpack, like hang on your minis bag or something. Just kind of like, like a pin, just something, something a little cool that can be, maybe it's a coin for, you got your top 8 coin for marking that, you got to use Cassian's Blow the Town. But, as I've been wrapping up these videos, I do want to shout out Momentous Struggle. They were streaming games during the event. Huge props to those boys, and I appreciate them letting me also record games. And basically every time I asked for a matchup, Todd and Aubrey were totally cool with giving it to me. So super shout out to them. Definitely check out their channel so you can watch more of Chris's games as well. LVO champion on the Momentous Struggle stream. And Chris, thank you so much for coming on and doing commentary with me. I know this was a long game, a super interesting game. And we started off with like, oh, I would like to see this play and this play. But by the time we were getting into Struggle 3, we're like, I have no idea what to do in this situation. Every play is hard. This is just 2 really strong players duking it out. And it was sweaty at the end for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a really good one to watch. So.
All right. I appreciate you. And we'll close things out here and just say the most OP thing that you can do is like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you let us know how much you appreciate Chris coming on to do guest commentary. Later, nerds.